All right, let's bring in now WA Opposition Leader Basil Zempilas and National Senator M.Canavan. And I should mention the Scott Morrison interview is coming up in a moment. Great to see both of you. Matt, I want to start with you. What's your view on why Trump has announced that the US will restart its nuclear testing program?
Well, for me, it's pretty clear. The timing of it indicates it's positioning for him as he goes into some crucial negotiations. I think he wanted to make it very clear that to the world, to China and obviously to Russia by extension as well, that the US has a pretty substantial arsenal and is going to make sure it's up to date. Now, I don't want to see this type of testing occur, but Trump has taken a I don't know if you could say walk softly, but the walk softly carry a big stick approach. And it has delivered results so far, with many wars at least moving towards peace and some ending. So, look, the tactic may be the best one. It sounded like it was a good meeting, and he'll be judged by the outcomes, not this truth post in the last few hours.
I mean, Basil, Matt's right, it does seem like it was a productive meeting on tariffs, among other things, fentanyl as well. But, you know, the tariffs, the de-escalation of this war is only beneficial for us in Australia.
Yes, that's right. I mean, in relation to the nuclear argument, I think Matt's 100% spot on. And look, in recent times, in very recent times, he's been in pretty good form, the US president. He's got most things right in that international space. And it does feel as though there's an element of gamesmanship and brinksmanship here. It's a game that he thinks he plays pretty well. I think leaving that debate to one side, if the United States' major foes, China, Russia potentially, have nuclear weapons, you would like the United States to have that same capability, even though, of course, no one in the world, well, certainly not in the Western world, would want any proliferation of nuclear weapons. So, look, tactically, I think it's a holding position. I think it's a strong arguing position. How far does it escalate? Everybody hopes it doesn't. But I guess he's laid his position firmly in the ground, and that might not be the worst thing.
And that's what we're seeing from Trump in the past month, increasingly warm relationships at a leader-to-leader level, but then having this very strong peace through strength position, you know, being prepared to deploy weapons when necessary, as he showed with the B-2 bombers and Iran. Now, Matt, just turning to something different, this is some quite big news. Now, Australia's E-Safety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, very controversial figure. Now, we're learning that she might have to release communications and documents after she attended a meeting recently that has sparked the ire of the United States Congressman Jim Jordan. This followed an investigation by journalist Michael Schellenberger in public. Now, this is to do with concerns about internet regulation and censorship. Matt, you gave a speech about this in the Senate. What can you tell us?
Look, it is a pretty dramatic development. The House Judiciary Chairman in the United States Congress, Congressman Jim Jordan, has written a pretty dramatic letter to Stanford University. In that letter, he does accuse Stanford of seeking to undermine Americans' free speech rights. He explicitly calls out the involvement of our E-Safety Commissioner in a conference that they had received leaked documents around. Now, the request here, just to be clear, the request is for Stanford to release communications between themselves and other foreign governments and agencies, including presumably, well, Australia is mentioned in those requests. He goes on, Jim Jordan goes on, I'm just going to quote from it here to get it right. He goes on to say that accusing Stanford, by hosting this event designed to encourage and facilitate censorship compliance with regulators from Australia, Brazil, the EU and the UK, Stanford is working with foreign censorship officials to vitiate the First Amendment. So they're pretty serious claims, and I'm also, I don't know if the E-Safety Commissioner has had doing anything like that right now, but what I do know is that she has lost a number of court cases already in this country, showing that she's gone beyond the purview set by her from the Parliament, including seeking to request global takedown orders of content. And I think this time we have a deeper look here at this, because I don't think the Parliament set up the E-Safety Commissioner to regulate the world. It was to help keep Australians safe here and online. So
and it was originally focused on child safety, Matt. It was originally focused on child safety, and it morphed into this role.
Yep.
So just very quickly, do you think Would you like to see a parliamentary inquiry into exactly what is going on in this department?
That's what I've called for today. The E-Safety Commissioner has announced that she is not going to continue in the role, but regardless of who takes the role, I think it's very important that government agencies, especially ones dealing with foreign governments here in this case, aren't going above and beyond what the Parliament wants and also what the Australian government wants. They need to be reined in.
Yeah. All right, well, Basil, I want to ask you about the problems in the coalition. We've seen this week opposition leader Susan Lee's leadership is being undermined by enemies within her own party. I mean, you know, first they disagreed with her when she said Rudd's position was untenable, then a similar situation this week on Albanese's Joy Division T-shirt. Does it seem to you that as an opposition leader, you're a Liberal opposition leader as well, it must be hard to watch her when she just can't get any breathing space at the moment? No one's giving her clear air.
Look, I think everybody accepts that opposition is a particularly tough game, and nobody would deny that being federal leader of the Liberal Party at the moment is particularly tough. It would have been tough for whoever was in the role. Susan's in the role and doing the absolute best, I think, that she can. Look, the best policy for any team, but particularly the Liberal team at this point, is to get in behind their leader, and any form of destabilising only really discredits the broader team. It's unhelpful, it's unuseful, and it doesn't take the team forward in any way, shape or form. So it doesn't matter what individual preferences or ideas or thoughts might be. If you're on the team, you've got to play the team game, and any form of operating outside of those rules really is counterproductive to what the Liberal Party are there for at the federal level. And I would urge all of them to just get in behind their leader. That's what they are there to do.
I agree with you, and all they're doing is cementing Albanese's position for even longer. Matt, I want to turn to the drama, or the latest drama in your party, in the Nationals. Barnaby Joyce, the news today, he's facing a parliamentary probe after claims he yelled at a female staffer in the office of a Nationals MP. Now, he denies the allegations. Matt, you know Joyce very well. You're close friends. Does he have a temper? Can you see him having yelled at someone like this?
Look, Sharri, I'm unfortunately for you, I suppose your viewer's not going to comment extensively on this, because my understanding is it's a matter of a complaint now, and to make sure a fair investigation occurs, I don't want to add any commentary to it. Of course, I want to see our staff have the ability to use those confidential complaints processes. I don't know anything about this incident apart from what I've read. So
you haven't asked him about it?
I'm just going to leave it at that. No, I haven't. Well, my understanding reading the stories hasn't been here today. I believe he's at a funeral, but no, I haven't spoken to him about it.
Yeah. Basil, you know, again, this problem, it's not just within the Liberal Party. There's the division with the Nationals. Barnaby Joyce, very messy, doesn't know if he wants to sit with One Nation or the Nationals or somewhere else by himself. I mean, they've got to get their act together or they're not going to win.
Well, I'm not telling Matt anything he doesn't know, and I'm not telling anybody federally anything they don't know. I think very broadly speaking, we know that the general public, they won't vote for teams, whichever team it might be, if that particular team can't agree amongst themselves and can't get on amongst themselves. So it was an absolute fundamental. Whilst the Libs and the Nats are in a coalition, a formal coalition, I think everybody, it needs to see them working together and demonstrate that they are capable of doing that, and then capable of forming the alternative government. In Barnaby's case, look, he loves to be in the limelight. He finds his way into the limelight or into the spotlight with monotonous regularity. And I do wonder, out loud, if it's OK, Matt, I do wonder whether it's not time for him just to make his decision on what his future is. He said he's not running for the Nats at the next election in the seat that he occupies. Maybe he should just come out and say what he's going to do, and that would make it easier and a clearer pathway for everybody. And I think everybody on both sides would appreciate that clear air.
Very sensible advice there. Are you going to take it, Matt?
No, I'm not. Thanks, though, Basil. Look, I don't want to lose people from my team. So, Barnaby might be on the brink here, or walking the plank, so to speak. I don't want to force him off. I'd like him to come back to the ship. So, if it takes a bit longer to do that, The team, as Basil said, the team's got to come first before the timing of that.
Yeah, all right. Now, both of you are dads. I think, Matt, you've got a few more kids than Basil does, just a couple more. But it's Halloween tomorrow. Are you both going trick-or-treating? Are you dressing up, Matt?
You want to go first, Matt, or yeah, you go on, Matt?
Matt, you go.
Well, I'm actually not going to be at home, unfortunately. I'm going to be at the Nationals Federal Council. Okay. So I'll be with a bunch of other politicians.
It sounds like
that'll
Halloween.
Be scary enough, I reckon. That'll be scary enough. So no one needs to dress up.
And Basil, you can probably win some votes standing there handing out lollies.
Yes, although sometimes politicians handing out lollies is not necessarily the best thing, Sharri. Look, we've not been a Halloween family typically, didn't grow up with it like many of my generation, but when you've got kids of the age of 14, 12 and 8, it's right in their wheelhouse. So we gently tiptoe into the space. There's a bowl at the front door. Sometimes we open it and hand them out. Other times we just let the kids take them themselves. And by the time 7:30 rolls around and it starts to get dark, no daylight saving over here. Thank goodness for that. We can go to bed.
No, I also didn't grow up with it, but now it's a massive thing, and you've got to, you know, you get what's the term when you get peer pressure, parent pressured into doing all of this. Well, Basil Zemplis, M.Canavan, thank you both so much.
Good on you.